So in this video, I'm gonna go over 5 things that I hate and 5 things that I love about being a loan officer. So if you're new to the business, or maybe you're thinking about becoming a loan officer and wanna know what it's like, make sure you stay to the end of this video. And really quick, when I say hate, I don't mean that I hate these things. They're really just things that I dislike. So yeah, these are things that I dislike. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, number one thing that I dislike about being a loan officer are the pay cycles. So with any other business, you'll close a deal and you'll get paid that very same day or within a week or two. As a loan officer, you typically get paid anywhere between 30 to 60 days after someone goes to you and says, hey, I want to purchase with you, or hey, I want to refinance with you, which in a way can suck because, if you're expecting that paycheck the next week, or if you need that paycheck the next week, it's not going to get there till a month later or 45 days later. And if you guys are wondering why that is, it's because when a client comes to you and says, hey, I want to purchase, or hey, I want to refinance, there is an escrow period. And if it's a purchase, there's also a shopping period. So let's say someone goes to you and they want to buy a home. They're going to get qualified, and then they're going to be shopping for a home maybe 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even a couple months. And then they're going to get into escrow, which is anywhere between 20 to 30 days. So that right there can already be, 40 days. And then for you to get paid, it can be a week or two. So that's why I'm saying the pay cycles are pretty long, because it's an extensive process, and that can suck if you want your paychecks right away or within that same month. And the solution to that, of course, would be to always have deals, because if you always have deals closing, if you always have deals open, then you're going to be getting paid every week or every other week, at least once a month, right? So that's the solution to that, is to always have deals. And the second thing that I dislike about being a loan officer are all of the guidelines. So every loan program has guidelines. Guidelines are basically loan requirements. So you need to know all those things, or at least most of them, because if you're working with a client and they want X program, and then you're like, hey, you qualify for that program, great job, start shopping for homes, and then something comes up that they don't qualify, it's a bit tricky, right? Of course, we can always try to find a solution, but it's important that you know your guidelines. And there's thousands of guidelines, thousands of requirements. And you need to know most of them, because if you miss a couple, then it could lead to the client no longer qualifying for that loan program. And that's something you don't want to do, right? You don't want to go back to the client and be like, hey, I said you could shop for homes. I said you were qualified, but you're not. So that's one thing I dislike about being a loan officer, is that there's a ton of guidelines. So yeah, make sure you guys know your guidelines. You're not going to know all of them, but try your best to know as many as possible. And the third thing that I dislike about being a loan officer is that you carry a lot of the responsibility during the deal. That's not a good or bad thing, but it can become a bad thing is what I'm saying. Not good or bad, but it can be bad. Because let's say you miss one of those guidelines. Let's say you're in escrow and you miss one of those guidelines. That can lead to that deal no longer closing, no longer working out, or you may have a delay. So you may need a couple more days, a couple of extensions. And that usually falls on you, right? If you miss a guideline, it was your guideline to miss. So that's one of the things that I don't like about being a loan officer, is that if anything happens during a deal, it's usually during the escrow period, and it's usually because of the finance. So it's usually because of the loan officer. And a lot of times this can make or break relationships, especially with realtor partners. Let's say you're working with a realtor partner and you never look at your guidelines, you don't look at guidelines, etc. And you get a client, you get them pre-approved, and then all of a sudden they no longer qualify during the escrow. That realtor is not going to like working with you. They're probably not going to work with you ever again in the future. So this is what I mean by you carry a lot of the responsibility during the deal. So you always want to make sure that you're sharp, you know your guidelines, you have a great coach, a great company to work for, a great mentor, so you can always close your deals. And by the way, it's going to happen. No deal is perfect. So don't freak out about having perfect deals. Nothing's going to be perfect, but you want to make sure that you strive to always having good deals, great service, and not having any deals fall out of escrow. Okay, and the fourth thing that I dislike about being a loan officer is you need to know a little bit about every part of the business. So not just mortgages, not just loans, not just interest rates, which is already a lot, right? Not just the financing side. You also need to know about taxes, real estate, title, all those things. You don't need to be advising people on those things, but you do need to know a good amount of information about those things for your nomenclature, for your own understanding. as a loan officer. So that's one thing that I don't like. Of course, I don't mind it because, we're getting to know more and learn more and educate ourselves more. So, we're motivated to do that. But, it's unfortunate that we need to know a lot of things within the business, which it is a lot, right? It's not a small field of, just learning chocolate bars. We're learning a whole thing about finance, a whole thing about real estate, taxes, credit, all these things. So that's another thing that I dislike about being a loan officer. And the fifth thing that I dislike about being a loan officer is that you're more likely to get shopped because you are offering an interest rate. So it's something very visual, almost tangible, that someone can use to shop you. For example, the real estate agent gets shopped on their commission, but mostly their education, their service, their knowledge. So when someone is buying a home, that's what they look for in a realtor. Whereas a loan officer, they still look at those things, but they greatly look at your interest rate, which is a negative because you guys know that we can't really control interest rates that much. They kind of are what they are. There's a couple of things that we can do to help the client, but not so much. So you are going to get shopped as a loan officer, which sucks, but that's just how it is. Now, what can you do to help reduce those chances or those odds? Well, that would be, deliver great service, have great education, make sure you're nurturing your clients, because a client that you nurture is less likely to shop you even if you have a higher rate. If someone helped me qualify for my home and they helped me for 2 years on my game plan, even if they offer a higher rate, I'm still gonna work with them. So you wanna deliver tons of value to your clients so that they continue to work with you and not shop you with someone else. And before we move on to the things that I love about being a loan officer, just wanna let you guys know that I have partnered up with Learn Mortgage and CompuCram if you guys are interested in getting your loan officer license. So I have a video right here going over exactly how to get the license, and they also offer discount codes for you guys that are interested and part of the Enrique and Greatness family. So the links are right here. This is for Learn Mortgage, and then the second code for CompuCram, which is a test prep tool, is going to be right here. Make sure you check them out also, that if you guys are interested in becoming a loan officer. All right, now back to the video. Okay, the first thing that I love about being a loan officer is that you truly make things happen. What does that mean? If someone comes to you and they don't qualify, you are the one that's really gonna be able to get them into a home. The real estate agent is great because they help them shop for the home, negotiate, but it's really the loan officer that's the backbone of the deal, unless they have cash, right? If the client has cash, they don't need a loan officer, they don't need financing. They can just start shopping. But if they don't have financing, if they don't qualify for a loan, and you nurture them, you help them out, it's super, super powerful. As a loan officer, you have a lot of power because the financing is important if you don't have cash, and most people out there don't have cash. So that's one thing that I really, really love about being a loan officer is you truly, truly get to help your clients qualify. You truly get to help them get into a home because like I said, most of them aren't gonna have cash, and they don't have cash. It's going to be almost impossible to get into a home. So that's one thing that I love about being a loan officer. We get to nurture them. Hey, we could do this to help your credit. We could do that. We could do that. Whether it take a year or two, they're really going to appreciate it. They're going to love you guys if you guys are willing to, nurture them, help them out, and get that financing. The second thing that I love about being a loan officer is that real estate is a great language, particularly the mortgage side. So real estate in itself is a great language because real estate is probably the best, I'm certain it's the best asset on planet Earth besides yourself, right? In my universe, my greatest asset is me. The second, probably real estate. So real estate is the greatest asset on the planet. A lot of you guys know that. And also, the industry, the world has kind of seen that with COVID, right? Properties continue to spike up in spite of COVID. So that's one great thing about real estate. It's a great language. It's great to know the financing as well, because like I mentioned with clients, if you don't have cash, you're gonna need financing. And if you know the language of financing, that's gonna make you super powerful, super helpful in conversations. Let's say you're at a family gathering. Let's say you're hanging out with friends. Promise you at least one of those people is gonna wanna know about real estate. And that's not the case with every industry, right? If you're selling bathtubs, if you're selling chocolates, not everyone's going to be interested in a bathtub. Or if you're selling like water filters, not everyone's going to be interested in that. But with real estate, people are going to be interested because people need homes. So it's a great language to have. People are going to ask you questions at family gatherings. Maybe when you meet up with friends, they're going to ask you, hey, what do I need to buy a home? What's the financing side? Because like I said, that's super powerful, the financing side. How do I qualify? So that's another thing I love about real estate, is that it's a great language. And the third thing that I love about being a loan officer is that you're commission based, which is great, because with commission, there is no cap to how much money you can make. You can make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, $1 million. There's no cap on the amount of money that you can make with commission. So that's one thing that I love about being a loan officer, is that you determine your income, not anyone else. No one says, hey, you're only gonna get 40 hours a week and this is your pay rate, bye-bye. No, you get to create your income by the amount of effort, energy, time you put into your business, which is great, right? Because you put something in and you get it back for the most part, or at least eventually you will get it back in abundance. So that's one thing that I love about being a loan officer, is that you're commission based, you choose your income, no one else. You choose your income and you can make millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the fourth thing that I love about being a loan officer is that you are a businessman, businesswoman, entrepreneur, which is great because you get to build your business. You get to create it how you want to create it. You get to be your own boss, set your own hours, which is great, right? Who doesn't want that freedom of having their own hours, being their own boss, etc., creating their own business? Right? You're creating your own brand, you're being creative. It's super fun to be an entrepreneur, a businessman, businesswoman. Of course, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's certainly difficult. It's certainly, something that you got to put time in, hard work in, but for the most part, you're going to feel good. I was talking to a coworker the other day and they were telling me how they worked corporate for most of their life, and now that they got into the business, they feel super good about work. And I was like, that's right, because you're creating your dreams, you're building your life, you're creating your life. And that's what we want to do as beings, right? We want to create our own life. We don't want life to create us. We don't want, to adapt to our environment. We want to create a beautiful life for ourselves, right? And as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, businesswoman, you can do that. So that's one thing that I love about being a loan officer. And the fifth thing that I love about being a loan officer is that it only gets easier. Yes, in the beginning, it's tough, it's rough, sometimes it's ugly, especially in today's market. So it can be tough in the beginning, it can be difficult, but as long as you hang in there, it's gonna get easier and you're gonna start making more money. So in the beginning, again, it's gonna be tough, you're not gonna make a lot of money. But as long as you hang in there, you stay disciplined, you grow your business, you make the adjustments, the improvements that you need to make, you will get to that point where you're making a lot of money with less effort than in the beginning. Of course, if you want to put more effort in later to get that more money, then you can do that. But that's one thing that I love about being in this business. And that's because more people know you, right? You have past clients. They refer you to their friends. They refer you to their friends. So it just kind of grows exponentially. So that's why all the new people, I always tell them, hey, don't give up in the beginning. Keep trying, keep hanging in there, because the longer you're in this thing, you're going to be a better loan officer, and business is going to come easier because there's going to be people out there that know what you do and appreciate you for what you do. So that's the last thing that I love about being a loan officer. And that's pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully that was helpful. If it was, comment down below what you guys thought. Leave a big thumbs up and subscribe for more content just like this. I make content on life improvement, entrepreneurship, real estate, loan officer training, and personal finance. So make sure you subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks again so much for your time. See you in the next video, and be great.